My likes and dislikes about the 2020 Niro plug-in hybrid. Hi, I'm Kevin Canals. Back in October of 2020, I bought this Kia Niro plug-in hybrid electric vehicle, and I had done a lot of research, and over the last 7 months of driving locally, doing short trips in the suburbs, up into the foothills where I normally have to do some business calls, I've got a good feel for what I like and what I don't like about the plug-in Niro hybrid. Overall, it's been a great car. I had done a lot of research before I purchased the car, so I knew what I was getting. But until you actually live with a car, sometimes you don't know all the little quirks, and sometimes you go, I wish I would have changed that, or I wish I would have thought about that. So let me get into some of the things I like and dislike about this 2020 plug-in Niro hybrid. At 6'1", 185 pounds, the Niro is pretty easy to get into. It's kind of tight in here sometimes getting out, and sometimes I can't always open the door if there's a car parked next to me, so it could be a little odd, a little awkward, but I've learned to live with that. Otherwise, I have a great seating position. I can see the road very, very well. The steering wheel moves up and down and locks into place. Now, in terms of likes and dislikes, this is definitely, it's if I had my druthers. I would prefer to have an automatic steering wheel that comes up and goes down, because what I find is the most comfortable driving position is with the steering wheel all the way down, so I'm in a good position to drive. The only problem is when I stop to get out of the car, the steering wheel is so low that I have to raise it. That's a pet peeve, definitely. I can live with it, but on the next generation, if I was in this particular sitting position, I would definitely want something that was more electric. Overall, the fabric on the seats is pretty good. It's kind of leatherette, but it is not leather. It does not have the same quality of where you get to slide in and slide out easily when you're getting into the car. And I've kind of noticed that, but again, that's something you kind of live with. But the seats are perforated because they also have the ventilation, and that is very, very nice. So overall, the driving experience has been very good, very comfortable. I've taken on many long journeys of hours, and no leg cramps. Everything has worked very, very well. All of the particular things that you need to change over here are well positioned. It takes time to learn where all this stuff is, and for the plugging and automatic charging and whatnot, that's worked well once you understand how to charge the vehicle. Little door over here on the side. Oh, that's something I really, really like, is that the mirrors retract. So when I walk away from the car, go into the grocery store, I can just always look back. It's a good visual check that the car has locked because I have it such that the windows fold. I really like that. That's a big like. And of course, here is a little hatch for, oops, there we go, to plug and charge it. I just pull it into my carport here. I've got the wall charger all set up on the 110, just plug it in, and within if I'm down to around 10% battery, when I am done charging from about midnight up to about 6:30, it's already done. And then you unlock it, those open, and then there you go. Before I bought the Niro, I had an older car that had, power locks, but it didn't have this keyless remote entry. And that has been it's taken me a while to figure it out. Kind of an old duffer, where you can just go up to the car without taking out any key, push the little black button, unlocks the driver's door, boom, you're in. It starts. It's just one of those things about modern technology that if you're not used to it, it takes a while to learn all of the advantages. Now, on the rear liftgate here, it does not have a mechanical latch, but it's electronic, and you can open it with the car locked as long as you have the key, and you have to just push the button and then it'll click open. And that took me a while. There's a little bit of a delay. Opens up nice and wide, and I'm not going to hit my head on this one. I have this little blue mat down in there, which has kind of been helpful when I put junk in there. I have lots of room to carry long items, 6 foot, 7 foot tall. Some things are a little awkward. Yeah, hey, a big SUV would be a little bit nicer sometimes if I'm carrying a big, tall grandfather clock, but I've learned to live with that. I knew what I was buying when I bought it. This shade has been remarkably nice in that not only is it a privacy shade, but it keeps the sun off your cargo items. So if I go to the grocery store, even though this window is tinted, still lets a lot of light in, and it can really heat things up in the back. So this shade here really keeps things cool. So it's kind of an added benefit that I hadn't really thought of. Sometimes, you know, this is just one of those, you know, things, it's just kind of worthless, but actually it has a great purpose to it. Both the seats fold down. You can probably see that I have them. I got all my junk in here because I wanted you to see what a real car is like when you're using the Niro. And, you know, you can take this out and put other stuff in there. I've carried 200-pound pieces of granite countertop in here, sandbags. I'll take this out when I stuff in all my bin boxes for the recyclables, you know, the aluminum cans and plastic bottles. So it's been very utilitarian. Could it be bigger? Yes. However, I always remind myself, one of the priorities I had for getting a new car was miles per gallon and driving in all electric as much as possible. And I get that with this. So it's just a trade-off. I can see how some people would like to have an electronic powered liftgate closure, because this one, even though it's not very tall, I can get my hand in there, but it does take a little bit of force, you know, to shut it. It shut that time. Sometimes it just, like that isn't shut right there, and you'll get the alert on your infotainment. So you'll have to open it up and then close it. But it's nice and solid, no rattles inside the car, nice and quiet. You know, the back end isn't going to win a design competition, but it's very functional. Again, this lets in a lot of light. I need to wash it sometime too. Windshield wiper works great. The little backup camera, sometimes maybe because it's the position, maybe all of the backup cameras will get dust on it, so you'll have to clean that off every once in a while to get a nice clear view when you're backing up. But otherwise, it has done an excellent job for what I wanted. No complaints. A lot of people, when they first get a plug-in hybrid, have a lot of, I wouldn't call it range anxiety. They have efficiency anxiety. And what is going to be the best, how they should operate the car to get the most miles per gallon, but in particularly the longest range for the all electric range of the battery. And yeah, when I started up in the mornings, if it's under 50 degrees, it'll show 24 miles per gallon. If I started up and it's, you know, over 60 degrees, it'll show 26 miles per gallon, which is the advertised range. And what I have found is that in 95% of the situations, there's really nothing you can do to improve on this car because it is darn smart. The engineers really knew what they were doing when they designed the car for efficiency. And you cannot outsmart the engine and the computer inside of it. So generally, I just leave it in auto and drive normally and use the regenerative braking. And even when I'm at 10% battery and I come into a town, which is where most people just want the all-electric range, the engine shuts off and it goes into electric mode, and then you pull away from the stop sign. It's an all-electric mode, and then the engine kicks on. And that's how you get, or that's how I get, at a minimum 47 miles per the gallon and upwards of 57. So the electronics, the brains of this car are just smarter than most people and knows what it's doing. I can see some situations where people, put it in the hybrid mode when they're on the freeway to save that electric range when they're in the city. Okay, but there's just no way to beat the miles per gallon outside of just putting it in auto, driving normally, and then using the regenerative braking paddles to maximize recharge the battery when you're going down a hill. So that has been a big like for me, is that this car is just so darn smart. One dislike is I can never see the speedometer by where it's positioned. It just never works when you're driving. For me, at least, I would like to have the speedometer right in the center, or I can see that's where the nice heads-up display would be. But I always have to lean over to see what how fast I'm going, or I have to duck my head around. That's kind of a dislike that they need to. I would like to see them fix. The wireless charging for the phone right in here is good. However, it's awkward, especially when you put the gear shift up in the park and just trying to get your hand in there. If you have a big phone, it's going to be kind of a hassle. There is another dislike, there is no USB port in the back. The little outlets for the heating and cooling seem to work okay for the back passengers, but there's no USB port. That's something they need to fix. Lots of storage in the bin. I have lots of junk in there. It seems to work fine. The infotainment system has been good. I've figured out how to navigate that with no problems. The only real odd problem I have with the sunroof is that bar right there. When it's up and you don't have any windows open, it makes a whistle. So you have to open up one of the back windows, and then that kind of whistling noise goes away. But I've kind of figured out how to deal with that. That's not a problem. The biggest design failure is all of this shiny black high gloss dash and this chrome area here. It reflects sun in an almost dangerous manner as to blind someone. Luckily I wear polarized sunglasses when I'm driving, but that is if I had anything to change, they should be forced to change, is to matte this chrome area and put some sort of texture on this, because the sun, it's just like a mirror. It's just like a mirror. And I live in California, and sun a lot. We don't, at least in the valley here, we don't have a lot of cloudy days, and the sun just glints off of this, or it'll even glint off of down here, because the sun, if it's coming in the right angle, and boom, it hits me in the face. It's nasty. The Uvo app has been pretty good. A little bit slow to update, but you can unlock the car and start it and do the heating, and it gives you information on your trips. And initially it's been very helpful to learn how it all works together and whatnot. And like doing the vehicle status update will take a little bit of time. But overall, it's been pretty good. And I get plenty of alerts, and I'm sure over time I will not want all those alerts, but right now it's good. Like, it's telling me my battery's at 99%. The heating and cooling is very interesting in that the engine will start to heat the cabin because it needs to heat the water in the engine. However, when it comes to air conditioning, I was pleasantly surprised that it does not need the engine to run. In all EV, it will just come on and cool the cabin without starting the engine. So that's kind of nice. Plenty of leg room in here. So overall, I like the Kia Niro. Yes, I have some issues with some of the design. I would like something a little bit bigger at times. But again, this was all about miles per gallon, being efficient. And when I look at my driving, most of my trips have been in all EV range. Because they're short in nature. So I really don't have any complaints. I'm saving lots of gas. I have the 2-tier system from PG&E, so I get lower rates in the evening. So definitely using electricity to charge it has been less expensive than gasoline. So overall, it's working for me. Those are just things you need to consider. But Kia has done a nice job of putting this car together and really thinking it through. So that's what I've got after 7 months. I think I'm going to keep the Kia Niro plug-in hybrid because it has just really worked. Thanks for watching. I'm Kevin Canals.